Thank you all for joining in. As per the last conversation we had, we are going to jump into the topic of role play. Role play is an amalgamation of two words, role and play. You're playing a role. But before you play the role, you have to have an awareness about the role that you want to play, the character that you want to portray, the story that you want to depict, the voice that you want to use, and the expressions that you want to portray in front of people. Playing roles. If you aren't getting the reaction you expect when you speak, a mismatch may exist between your conscious intention and what you're truly feeling about a situation. Perhaps you sometimes spend a lot of energy thinking about the impression you want to make and unconsciously creating ways of speaking that you believe will get your approval or respect. You stiffen your shoulders as if you're wearing the epaulets of high rank, and you put an artificial energy into your voice. If you do that, you may create the impression you want, but your voice has a curious way of revealing how hard you're trying. The energetic pace and emphasis are there, but the tension created by your effort restricts your breathing, which is reflected in the tightening of your voice. If you counteract this effect by forcing your voice to do your bidding, the sound becomes tight and pushed. You end up sacrificing freedom and subtlety for something strained and predictable. The answer is to stop trying so hard and to regain a sense of ease so that breath and sound can work smoothly. When you do this, you access your authentic energy, which is much more powerful than false confidence and posturing. Whether your role is CEO, manager, team leader, parent, trying to look assured and professional while you're feeling the opposite isn't likely to work. The following sections describe various ways in which people try too hard and shows you how to avoid them. The first thing is speaking mechanically. If you ever get feedback that you sound boring, monotonous, or mechanical, you're very likely adopting this way of speaking, which means dissociating from your feelings. Try the exercise on speaking with intention. To practice this, go from the thought to the feeling straight into the sound and hear the difference in your voice. We have various versions with regard to the role play that a person portrays. We have something called the Mussolini voice, named after the Italian dictator who used to push his voice down into the throat and just to make himself sound more imposing, authoritative, and in control. You push out air too forcibly, giving the sound a hard, tuneless edge that bulldozes the listener's ears. The second type is the establishment voice. Like the Mussolini voice is also created low down in controlled fashion, producing a voice whose tone is rich and deep but unvarying. The person breathes, pauses for an instant to put on deep, cavernous tones, and then speaks. Boris Johnson has a very similar voice that comes in this category. It's the rich, tone plumminess which changes very little whatever mood he is intending to convey. Then we have something called the Barbie doll voice. It remains sweet, high-pitched, whatever barbs are thrown its way. It proclaims in its gentle tones that the speaker is a sweet person, but more often reveals that the speaker is trying too hard to sound pleasant and can sound patronizing. It used to be the fashion for women to speak in this way in the 40s and the 50s. You can find many examples in the recordings of that period. A great example is in the character Dolores Umbridge, played by Imelda Staunton in the Harry Potter movies. Best voice to use where you're not taking into consideration any nuances with regard to portraying yourself in a certain manner but just projecting yourself in a certain manner is called being authentic. Being authentic is one of the most powerful ways to be believed and respected. It makes it extraordinary how far people go to hide who they really are. When you're authentic, you create aliveness and excitement. People instantly tune into you and find you interesting. Sanitized and predictable speaking, on the other hand, whether unconscious or deliberate, cuts off connection and creates boredom, disappointment, and even mistrust. If you watch any audience or read the tabloids or pay attention to the non-scripted television, you quickly see that people are curious about other people and are very interested in people who always perform a role. Much of what people hear in the speeches and presentations is predictable and is delivery stiff and formal. The official behavior of business leaders in their work roles is usually predictable too. Audiences love the genuine side, the odd mistakes, the burst into the normality. The more real you are, the more convincing you are, and the more you feel yourself. The opposite is also true. The more rigid you are, the less you feel like yourself, and the more artificial you seem to others. Finding out how to speak authentically is about reconnecting the energy of your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions with your voice. In other words, you express on the outside what is deep within inside. This approach is called the inside-out process. It was given almost 60 years back by Iris Warden, who is known as one of the most effective voice teachers ever. Authenticity in your voice is certainly about being emotionally truthful. When you are, the sound of your voice, the look in your eye, your facial expression, and the balance of your body work in harmony, so that all parts of you are telling one story. Authenticity puts your listeners at ease, makes them trust you. Mismatching your signals, on the other hand, creates annoyance, confusion, and disbelief. Wipe the smile off your face, snaps the teacher, for nothing's more annoying than a pupil apologizing with a mismatching grin. In body language, we call it incongruency, when your facial features, they don't match with the sound of your voice. Now that we have introduced Iris Warden, let me give you certain more nuances about her and how she developed that process of inside-out technique that was later on used by one of the greatest voice coaches ever, Linklater. Prior to the Second World War, voice training was about producing a particular tone of voice rather than using your voice flexibly to express different thoughts and emotions. There never used to be the nuances of diphthongs or monophthongs or the transition of voice in intonation inflection so that you can create the music in the voice. It was more with regard to being assertive, aggressive, or passive tone. The person most responsible for changing this approach to voice production was Iris Warden, a voice teacher who taught at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London in the 1940s and then joined the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art. She never published, but her pupil, Crystal Linklater, followed her method and later moved to the US, where she became one of the major influences on voice teaching in both the US and UK. Warden was a tremendous character. According to those who worked with her, she developed an approach to training actors, voices that work from the inside out. She believed that each person has a unique voice and aimed to free the actor in the voice rather than train the voice in the actor. She famously said, "I want to hear the person, not the voice." She moved away from the popular notion of the beautiful voice to the ideal of the voice that is capable of expressing powerful emotions. She stressed the importance of imagination and play in creating a free voice, and worked on the actor's psychology with the purpose of reconnecting thought and feelings with his expression. A whole generation of actors and speakers was influenced by her, and the waves of this are still felt today in the influence of teachers on actor training programs worldwide who learn the craft from Warden or her protege Linklater. Thank you so much guys for listening. I hope you got certain nuances with regard to using your authentic voice and how you can become aware when you are doing the role play in the right manner. Thank you so much. Keep tuning in. We'll be talking further nuances about the same thing in the next episodes. Thank you so much and take care and have a great day.